Hi, my name is Keith Cooper for Northlight Images. This is another one in a series of videos looking at some of the business aspects of photography. Now, I've been a commercial photographer for over 20 years now, and I'm looking at how business is changing, and I'm going to be doing a new video specifically addressing some aspects of changes and how a combination of personal circumstances, business changes, things will impact this. But I was looking at aspects of this and realized I'd done loads of videos when the channel was first set up. Probably no one's ever seen these because they were when I only had hundreds of subscribers to the channel. Doesn't make them any less relevant. I will, however, add notes to some of them if I disagree with myself from a few years ago. I don't think I will much, but first of all, if you want to be a photographer, what work do you want to do? This is a commercial, well, I'd say this, no, I'm a commercial photographer. If you want to be a professional photographer, i.e. earning a living from it. Now, there's lots of things you can do, but how do you decide what work matters to you? Why am I not, for example, a landscape photographer? Anyway, that's an area I'm going to have a look at now and see what work not to do. I've got another video just after this, another short one, which looks at the value of learning when not to accept work and when to turn work down. But as I say, I'll be coming back to some of these issues. Hopefully this is of some interest. Please do let me know what you think if you've got any questions or things. But as I say, I'm putting together some thoughts for a new up-to-date video on this. But what I've got to say here, I think still applies. I'm going to look at specialisms, not what to do, but what not to do, which certainly when I became a photographer was a decision to make, and it's a decision that you revisit over time. I certainly have over the last 15 years, as I've changed what I've done, partly to meet changes in the market, which is something you do have to do. You can't just set your business up and think that's it, it's done, I'm going to stick doing this. I remember a lot of photographers, professional photographers who'd been photographers for years who came a real cropper when digital came in. They didn't think it was anything more than a bit of a passing phase. They're not doing work anymore, or most of them aren't. Those that are very specialised, and that's a choice of theirs which fits their business, hopefully. When I was looking at things what not to do, it also covered things I did want to do. So I came up with 4 sort of real ways of looking at it. First of all, is there any money in it? Remember, I'm talking about setting up a photography business. Not a hobby. For a hobby, do anything you like, anything you can afford, doesn't really matter. This for me was landscape photography. I'd love to sort of travel around taking pictures of landscape. I don't have the strong interest to go and spend months hiking across the middle of nowhere to see things. I prefer comforts too much. I'm not someone who walks vast distances if I can avoid it. All these things would tend to mitigate against being a successful landscape photographer, certainly from a point of view of actually enjoying it and making some money. And somebody said to me, I asked another professional photographer at the time, and we're talking now nearly 20 years ago, about landscape. They said, well, just make sure you've got other stuff to do that will pay the bills. The other thing is, I live in the centre of the UK. There's some nice countryside around here, but local sells. I've done some other videos about selling prints and various things like that, but essentially the takeaway from a lot of this is local sells, and there is not enough of a local market or local subject matter that people would buy to justify doing that. If I lived on the coast, well, maybe I'd have a gallery, maybe not, who knows, that's another matter altogether. Second aspect of specialism is the skills. Have I the skills to do this? Well, I'm going to say yes, because if I don't have the skills, I can learn them. Now, how you learn various skills is another matter. Personally, I've never been one for workshops and courses. I'm happy to teach workshops and courses, so if anyone's interested, do let me know. I'm happy to teach, but I really don't learn well that way. It's also why I resisted making videos for years, because I don't like learning from videos. Great for fixing some part of my car, learning how to dismantle something, but photography, nope, they just don't do it for me. Fortunately, someone at Canon last year convinced me that other people didn't share this view and that they might find some of my things interesting, particularly on the printers and other stuff like that. But anyway, skills, you can always learn them by whatever way you want. Needn't cost you anything. Thirdly, in this, equipment. Have I got the equipment to do this job? Well, that's very reasonable. If I'm talking about portrait photography, I'm wondering if I got the lighting for it, have I got backgrounds, what do I actually need? The one thing to be careful with if you're looking at this sort of equipment angle is, have you really not got the equipment to do the job? Or is it just an excuse to buy some new kit? Nothing wrong with buying new kit, but for myself it needs to have a business reason. That's why I still shoot with a Canon 5DS 50 megapixel for my architectural photography, and why I haven't got a Canon R5. Great camera as it is, it doesn't give enough of a benefit in that particular area to make a difference to my business. Now, that could change later this year. It might not. Depends on work and what Canon brings out in the way of new cameras. But that's another matter. Fourth thing to look at is, have I got an interest in this subject? Now, I've said before that professional photography is being able to produce great results when you're not really interested in the subject. To me, that means being able to produce great results when I'm asked to produce pictures of 6 different bits of machinery in a factory. The first 2 bits of machinery, I've got some great photos, but the time it's later in the day and I've got my 6th piece of machinery, I'm thinking this looks very similar to the others, but no, I'm looking to make as good photos of that last bit as I did the first bit of machinery. Now, the interest comes in, actually for myself, being interested in engineering, manufacturing, and things like that, building, construction, design. Those areas are what interest me. Creating photos that help get people's messages across in those areas I find interesting. Now, I really don't find weddings interesting. I don't find taking photographs of kids remotely interesting. I have zero interest in these sort of subjects. Now, that doesn't mean I couldn't take photos. I just have no enthusiasm for it. And if you've got no enthusiasm, it's quickly going to show in your work, because you do need some enthusiasm to be able to carry you through the sort of moments when you think, why am I doing this? Why am I bothering? It's the enthusiasm that helps get you through it. And if I'm at a wedding or something like that, no, it really doesn't interest me. Now, I actually, when I started Northlight, I did a bit of editorial photography, photography at meetings and things like this, and events and bits and pieces. I still do very occasionally, but usually only for clients that I know and that know me, and I'm almost doing it for them as a favour, but I'm charging them for it. They just happen to know, they're happy with me doing a particular bit of work for them. I've almost dropped that from our range of services. Problem is, there's an awful lot of competent photographers out there who can photograph groups of people. And also, when it came down to it, there's only a limited number of times I can get much interest in taking photographs of people handing over giant cheques. It is a real skill, I have managed it on occasions, to be able to get a great looking photograph of 2 people shaking hands that doesn't look completely fake. Now, if that doesn't bother you and you've got the skill to do it, then go ahead and do it. But editorial photography and that sort of stuff is a very crowded field, because a lot of people think, oh, I could do that. And there are a lot of people these days in businesses, and they look at the results they get on their phones and they think, well, I could do that. Now, many times they actually could, because it's not their job. They've not got to do it every time. They've not got to do it every day. They're not going to be able to produce consistent results. And they get, as somebody working for the company, you get a bit more latitude in the results. Now, my reaction to that was, great, I'll help you take your photos. So, product photography. I've moved into specialised product photography, specialised macro photography, so really tiny things, and also specialised industrial photography, where I photograph huge great bits of machinery, where you can get inside them and get photographs and so on. So that's my specialism. The more general sort of product photography for businesses, particularly small businesses, I'm actually happy to help people do it themselves. I love doing this. A year or two ago, I went and helped a company that sells model railways. They do model trains. These are O-gauge model trains, and they are serious models. We're talking about locomotive about so big, so O-gauge, and they may be a couple of £1,000. These are not your set them up on the floor and have your kids play with them type trains. These are serious trains. Now, they wanted to do their own photography. I really enjoyed that. Spent a couple of days there teaching them everything I could about focus stacking, all kinds of stuff like that. That's great. They would never, they're quite some distance from here, they'd never have got me in to do the work. They weren't that interested in getting a professional photographer in, because professional photographers were unlikely to know much about model railways, and it really helped if you knew something about model railways in taking these photos. So that's a specialism of ours. I'm happy to teach people to do this. Now, the nice thing is, when they need specialist photography, who do they ask? So I've moved from general product photography into quite specialised. Now, you might look at specialised studio product photography, but bear in mind that product photography is all about workflow. It's all about efficiency. It's all about consistent results and volume. Product photography, I enjoy doing occasionally. If I had to do it every single day, I'm sure my attitude would not be that different to my attitude towards wedding photography. The interest would go in it. So make sure you've got that interest to keep your specialisms. The specialisms also help in that you can charge more, makes your business more profitable. I've also moved into more technical aspects of photography, because when it comes down to it, I'm sorry, fellow professional photographers, an awful lot of you are absolutely useless when it comes to understanding the technical side of photography. Now, if I can make benefit from that benefits my business from a profit point of view, then I will do it. And just one other thing about this specialism, be confident, because if you don't believe that you're actually good at doing whatever it is you do, then how else do you convince other people? No, I'm a damn good photographer, and I'm happy to say that. Sure, I still have those doubts, but we don't put that into the marketing materials. So, as I said, decide what you like doing. Have I changed? I have refined the work even more than I mentioned there. So there are some aspects I do even less of now. Some aspects I do more of, but as I'll be coming back to that. But the work you do has to be profitable, has to be part of a business. And now an important lesson I learnt about which types of work to turn down. Why you should take notice sometimes of those little warning signs that go, is this really a good job to do? Are you letting yourself in for trouble here? It happens. I would rather learn by not doing it, but I have had to turn work down for this. But anyway, what not to do. When should you turn down work? There are lots of potential reasons, but sometimes you think this is a great job, and then it doesn't turn out to be what you wanted, and they're a great way of learning things, but ideally you could learn about it in advance without having to go through the process. This one, however, didn't cost me any money, so it wasn't too bad. I got a call from somebody, an inquiry, telephone inquiry. Someone had picked up details from the website, wanted to know about photography at a hotel. They were doing some work in the hotel and they wanted some photographs. Great, it's what I do. Turns out it was a hotel only a few miles away from here. Actually the one where Karen and myself were married, so I know it quite well, know the building. It's a nice looking building, should be able to get some good photos. Sounds an ideal job. We chat a bit about various things. The guy doesn't immediately dive in and say how much, which is one of those warning signs that you get. Anyone whose first thing they want to know is the price, the third, fourth, fifth thing they want to know is the price, then take that as a hint that there could be trouble here. But anyway, this one sounded good. Went through some details, and then they said, oh, and we'd want to give some photos for the hotel itself. And I said, well, that's fair enough. Our T's and C's, and you should always have your terms and conditions for your work. Our T's and C's say the images are licensed to you. They can't be used by third parties for promotion of their business without getting a license from us. What do you mean? They're my photos. Anyone who says they're my photos probably doesn't have an intuitive understanding of copyright and what image licensing means. There's a flag. I just want to, always be wary of the word just, I just want to give some photos to the hotel. Well, I'm thinking they're not your photos to give. They are licensed to you. Now, I said, it's not a problem. We come across this all the time. We're happy to license some images to the hotel. I said, there may be a small fee depending on what they want, but it's usually not much. It's a nominal fee for licensing, but it really does depend on what they want. Oh, but we've paid for them. No, you've paid for a license for using the pictures around. Oh, all right then. So, we think, okay, that's right. I said, but do drop me an email so that we can give you a formal quote. Now, always give formal quotes if you can, because it's another chance to attach your terms and conditions to the email, and it's worth doing because you always may need to fall back on these. But anyway, so I'm going to send that. I send back and say, yeah, we got this. Next moment, the guy rings back and says, hang on. You've changed all this. This isn't what we agreed. We need some photos of the hotel as well. News to me. So they want interior shots and they want exterior shots. Because of the nature of the British weather, this may well be 2 visits to cover it. Interior shots you might be able to do almost any time. Exterior shots depends on the time of year, because I know the place is surrounded by trees. The weather, all kinds of things. And I said, well, that's because you want the exterior shots. Yeah, it's going to, maybe a second. Because it's local, we don't charge for travel on local jobs like this. It's within cycling distance. So we don't charge. But, it does matter in terms of the photography you do. Well, this doesn't sound at all like it. You're changing things. Well, I know I'm not changing things because I've written it down in the email that I sent. And we would follow that up, if it was acceptable, with a formal quote for the work. So always keep notes of things. Then the guy starts to get, he said, oh, well, not to worry. He said, this is a bit more expensive than we were thinking. And I said, yeah, I'm thinking, well, you were thinking when? Because you didn't say this when I was talking to you on the phone a while ago. You've now thought this. He goes, well, anyway, we'll give you a deposit. Yet another warning bell. If somebody pays me 50% of the work as a deposit on a relatively smallish job, as a local job, it's only a few £100, and then says, we don't think these photos are worth it, but we'll keep you can keep the deposit. Now I have the option then of enforcing our terms and conditions, trying to chase this company, perhaps a smallish company, chase them for a few £100. There are ways to do it. It's a lot of hassle though, and I don't really want to do it. And the idea is that perhaps I would go, well, all right, I've got the deposit money, leave it be. No, we don't work like that. We don't charge deposits on that sort of, we do on training work, but we don't want to, but we invoice the full amount. At this point, there are too many red flags on the job. And I go, I'm sorry, I don't think we can help you. It grates for a job at somewhere nice, somewhere I can do really easily, somewhere I have photographs of, I know the place, I know I could do a great job of it. There's that personal, I want to do this job. Yeah, but then there's the business bit that says, hang on, this one's going to cause you an awful lot of trouble right the way through the process. And the real thing was that when I said, no, we can't help you, and I put the phone down, I felt relieved about it. So there you go. I'm sure most photographers you'll come across, professional photographers, will have stories like that of either jobs they shouldn't have accepted or jobs they turned down. So there you have it. The key thing to remember is that if you want to do this as a job, it's a business. It's a business that has to make a profit. It's up to you to decide how much profit you want, how much you need. I've looked at pricing and things elsewhere, but those are some key points and I wouldn't disagree with any of them. Hope that's been of some use. So please do let me know in the comments what you think. For any other specific topics, a few people have made some useful suggestions which I'll try and incorporate in some new videos. So thanks for that, appreciated, and thanks for watching, and I hope that was of interest. Bye.